This video is another example using while loops. So we saw earlier how to count from 1 to 5, and I want you to actually try this out in Python. Type in this code and run it and see what happens, and then make some changes. So what if I say I want to start my counter from 2 and I want to go up to 9? Then what am I going to see? I'm going to see counting, starting counting from 2 up to 9, right? So let me run it to convince you that that's what I'm going to see, and that's what we see, and then we see all done. So you can play around with those numbers. What, instead of increasing counter by 1, I want to increase it by 3, then what am I going to see? So let's see what happens if we increase counter by 3. Then what are we going to see? We're going to see, let's run it and see what we get. We get counting 2, counting 5, counting 8. We started at 2. We printed it out, then we increased it by 3, so it became 5. 5 is less than or equal to 9, so we saw that. We saw counting 5. Then we increased it by 3 now. 5 plus 3 is 8. 8 is less than or equal to 9, so we're going to see counting 8, and then counter is going to become 8 plus 3, which is 11, and 11 is not less than or equal to 9, so it stops the loop and it prints all done. Okay, so now what if I want to print I want to count you going backwards. So I'm just going to close my shell here, and I want to change this program so that I want to count from, let's say, 9 down to 2. So I want to start my counter at 9 and I want to go up to 2, and I want to go by 1. Will this work? Do I just have to change that? So I'm going down by 1. Am I going up by 1? Let's see if I run this. I get all done. Doesn't show me anything. Why did it do that? Well, let's try and understand that. Counter started off at 9. 9 is less than or equal to 2. Oh, it was false. So this was wrong. 9 is not less than or equal to 2. 9 is greater than or equal to 2. So let me just go back. So this was false. 9 was not less than or equal to 2. So it didn't do anything inside the body of the loop, and it just printed all done. So if I want to go from 9 down to 2, then I have to say, as long as my counter is, I want to see 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 up to 2, right? Let's say that's what I want to do now. Counting 9, counting 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Let's actually do count from 10 down to 1 like a rocket launch. So, and this time I don't even want to see the word counting. I just want to see the number. I want to see the number. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 1. And instead of saying all done, I want to say blast off. So I'm going to launch my rocket. So will this work? Let's see what happens. Oh my god, it's increasing. I can't even slow this down. I better close this. It's an infinite loop. It's not stopping. What happened? Saying program is still running. Do you want to kill it? Because what happened? Counter was 10. 10 is greater than or equal to 1. It printed 10. Then it made it 11, and 11 is greater than or equal to 1. And so it's going to print 11. I'm going to be 12, and it's always going to be greater than or equal to 1 because you're increasing the number. We want to go down by 1. We want to start at 10 and we want 9. We want to subtract 1 from counter. So now if I run this, hopefully I got my logic correctly. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. So this is how we write a loop counting backwards. We start with the higher value. We initialize our variable, which I have called counter, to be the bigger number, and as long as it's greater than or equal to, notice it became greater than or equal to the lower number that we want to see, we want to print our counter and reduce it by 1. So counter gets counter minus 1, and then we print whatever we want to print after the loop ends. So this is how you write a loop going backwards. So now I want to show you another program in my visualizer. Tell me what this is doing. Counter is 20 while counter is greater than or equal to 15. I'm going to print counting and the counter. I'm going to reduce by 1. So what's the first thing I'm going to print? 20 is greater than or equal to 15. So we're going to see counting 20, and then it's going to become 19, and then 19 is greater than 15. We're going to see counting 19. So let me just draw. It's 20, counter is 20, 20 is greater than or equal to 15, so it's going to print counting 20, counter is going to become 19, look right here, 19 is greater than or equal to 15, counter is going to become, as soon as I hit forward, it's printed counting 19, and now it's going to subtract 1 from it. So it's going to become 18, and 18 is greater than or equal to 15. So it's going to print it. It's going to print counting 18. Counter is going to become 17. 17 is greater than 15, greater than or equal to 15. It's going to print it. Counting 17, counter is going to become 16. 16 is greater than or equal to 15. It's going to print counter 16, counting 16, it's going to make it 15. 15 is greater than or equal to 15. It's going to print counting 15, and now counter is going to become 14, and now it's going to stop the loop, and then what is it going to do? It's going to come down to this line, the test fails. It came down here. It's going to print all done. Counter is counter. What's the value of counter? 14. So I'm just going to scroll this a little bit. So now if I hit forward, so the last thing it printed was counting 15. Now counter is 14. The test failed, and it's going to print all done. Counter is 14. So this is how we would count backwards. So we can write loops that go forward. We're incrementing a variable, or we are going backwards where we are decreasing a variable.